Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super Fantify. This being a show where I talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Mecha-Ude Mechanical Arms Season 1, Episode 5. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So, we actually get a little bit of a tiny rewind as we see Aki talking to Quinn, and it turns out he found out some stuff that was in the ARMS database that he only knows about it because he was hacking. He finds out that there's actually a little bit more of tracking of this whole worm type Mecha-Ude situation. Apparently the leader has been looking into this on his own and hasn't let anyone in on the investigation, and he's kept it from Aki despite knowing how important this is to Aki. And it's like, oh yeah, like he's been looking into this since the first incident 8 years ago, which is when the situation with her family happened. So it's like, why was he keeping this quiet from her? I was like, I don't think he knew the particulars of it, because if he did, he sure as hell doesn't bring it up later on. So but I guess it's like, why would he keep quiet about it, and despite knowing how important it is to Aki? But it's also interesting too, because he had made this whole point of saying that later on when he's talking to Hikaru, that it was more so his Mecha-Ude that said the whole point of, hey, we're not like comrades. That's just a whole emotional thing. We're you don't run an organization like ARMS by being controlled by emotions. It's like, yeah, but you don't. It's like, right, we're united by a single-fied goal, but it's like, yeah, but that lack of camaraderie. I don't know if he was saying that just to manipulate Hikaru to go find Aki because it'd be easier that way, or but he really did believe that, like, the power of friendship stuff, he believes it to be BS. So it seems like ARMS and Kagami are like kind of not as polar opposite as you think they are. Like, their principles and how they handle Mecha-Ude, sure, because there's the shackling, but obviously not everyone part of Kagami shackles their arms, their mechanical arms. So that's kind of interesting. Like I said, because like the people from like the third, I forgot what their name was. It was something 3. They do that, but home dude who's from the White Snakes, the biker dude, he doesn't do that. That's why I when I brought that up, it was episode 3. I was like, oh, that's a pretty interesting little detail. Either way, I'm going on a little bit of a tangent, but I'm just like, that very like emotionless and being practical nature. It's like, yeah, like we're a group unified by our goals. That's it. So if you're unified on this goal, why not tell Aki? Because I guess it was more prevalent to keep her in the dark. Or maybe it's like he had different plans for the worm type, because he was like, he wanted to get it because maybe whatever it was, he knew how Aki felt about it, but he wanted to get it on their side of ARMS because he figured it could be an asset if they found it and was able to kind of associate it with a Mecha-Ude user that was on their side. And that's the thought that I have. I don't know if there will be any validity to that, but nevertheless, we rewind to 8 years ago, and it's really interesting to find out. Like I said, I can't tell if Aki and her sister are twins. I don't think so. It does seem like, at least seem like Aki's taller than her, so Aki seems like she might be the older sibling. I don't know. They look roughly around the same age, so I wasn't sure if they were twins or not. But either way, it's interesting to know the reason why Aki has 2. She has Sinus and Dex. It was actually a split between her and her sister. Her sister had Sinus. And Aki always had Dex. So it's an interesting parallel too, because bringing that storyline full circle about like, oh, I'm the princess, you have to save me, but neither Sinus nor Dex wanted to play the bad guys, and it's like, right, you guys brought me to her to save, and it's like, yeah, my sister would rather not fight when it comes to like trying to save me. So it's interesting now, considering she will fight to save. So there's like a lot of interesting little thematic threads there, with just everything kind of coming full circle in that regard. But yeah, it's revealed that the person in the coat is in fact her sister Fubuki, and it's like, oh my god, like, you're okay. And then like they attack oh god, I'm gonna butcher its name. It's like Amaryllis. I'm butchering the name of the Mecha-Ude, but it's defending itself, being like, no, I'm not the reason why. I'm not. What happened with your parents was an accident. It does seem like they were researchers, and that's also another thing too. Aki's been a part of this and had it didn't even cross my mind to think she had a Mecha-Ude that far back. This was like 8 years ago, but as we can see, the Alma was associated with the founder of the city. We don't know how far back that was, but it was a decent amount of time. So once again, to the point that even June's like references the founder of Kagami as like his ancestor, but never gets into specifics of how long ago that was. Like, oh, that was my grandfather or my great-great-grandfather. I think he just referred to him as like an ancestor and stuff, right? So we have no idea how long the Mecha-Udes have been in this world. But either way, it's just, that kind of threw me to be like, oh, so I wonder, has Aki been a part of ARMS ever since? Like, because that was 8 years ago, and that's also when the leader of ARMS started looking into these incidents, so that's probably when they crossed paths. So she's probably been a part of ARMS since then, or maybe not as long of time. I don't know. But it's kind of interesting knowing, like, oh man, so essentially, this is the thing I was talking about in the previous episode. I was like, maybe their parents weren't the good people that they thought they were. It seems like they were researchers, and I'm curious, were they independent researchers? Are we going to find out they were actually connected to Kagami or not? But they were researching stuff about like multiple Mecha-Ude users at once, and Amaryllis was a part of that situation. Once again, I'm sorry if I'm butchering the name, but so was Fubuki and Sinus. But apparently there was some resonance between the worm type and Fubuki, and it caused an incident, and Fubuki tried to de-rise with her, but that ended up expediting everything and made things actually worse, and she got consumed by Fubuki's Arbitrium and ended up going out of control and causing the incident. Because Sinus is like, I remember what happened that day, I saw you there, but it's like, right, you didn't have the greater context of everything. But that's the thing, if this has all been going on, how is Fubuki, because this element of the story where like they're explaining things, I'm like, this is BS. It's like, it has to be. I was like, her sister's not the innocent victim she claims to be. Or maybe not. We'll talk about that later, but let's get through the episode first. But my thinking is, like, I was like, that smells so fishy, because first and foremost, it's been like 8 years. Why is Fubuki not trying to track down Aki in all this time? Plus, we know that these incidents have been going, like, especially they've been going on for the past couple months, and they just become more and more frequent of her attacking Mecha-Ude users. And I was like, right, she's feeding off of their Arbitrium because apparently she has an illness and she can't produce her own Arbitrium. But it's like, there's certain things like, why not talk? You didn't talk to your sister immediately when you had the chance. You could have, but you ran away so you were isolated. But we see that the leader kind of was keeping an eye on Aki. I guess when stuff popped off, he knew to keep an eye on Aki. He had no idea where she went. But it's like, oh, she's talking to this like worm-type Mecha-Ude user, so like, oh, Aki might be working with them, not even willing to give her the benefit of the doubt, even though it's like she has a reason for coming after this person. Once again, not unless you, the leader of ARMS, knows a lot more than he's letting on, which is a very strong possibility considering he's been looking into this in secret without anyone knowing. But especially when it's like, right, there's only one way to save Fubuki's life, and they cut away from it. I was like, it's got to be related to Alma, because he's the trigger arm. He's special amongst the Mecha-Ude. So I was like, it has to be it. Once again, what about your brother? Is your brother not special? Like, even though you're supposed to be brothers, like, why is it that he's such a special case then? Like, why is Alma the special case, but his brother isn't? Like, that's what because we found out last episode, I forgot what it's called, but it's that cube thing that needed to be sealed away all those years ago, and Alma's the only person who's the key to it. That's also what Kagami wants, and ARMS want to keep Kagami from getting their hands on it, because it's responsible for stuff popping off all those years ago, which kind of led to, I think, why Alma has amnesia in the first place. But either way, it just, like I said, it felt like, okay, they're going to need Alma. I was like, this seems like a ploy and a trap, which is interesting, because immediately I'm like, is this a Kagami ploy, or is this, like, we might not just be dealing with Kagami anymore? Because that's the thing, they're the two big groups, ARMS and Kagami, but there might be other organizations out there, especially because as we see later on in the episode, especially because Aki's unaware of this because she's been out of the loop, but Mecha-Ude users all around were starting to go crazy, just like what the worm type would do to people. It made them go berserk, but it wasn't just happening to ARMS people, it was also happening to Kagami people. So to the point that it's like, somebody was making a point of, well, it's happening to, it was an ARMS guy being like, okay, so it's happening to Kagami people too, so they're not behind this. So yeah, there's definitely a third party involved. Not less Fubuki's that sole third party, but I feel like to be able to hide off the radar for like 8 years and be doing all this, and now pop up now because it's like Alma. Because I guess Kagami's had Alma. We don't know if they've had Alma all this time. But like obviously Hikaru and Alma only like joined together more recently because that's when at the beginning of the series when Aki like went in to like steal Alma. So, but yeah, like what added more to the whole aspect of it's definitely about Hikaru. I didn't think it was as much about Hikaru, but I knew it was about Alma. Was Aki wasn't breaking into their house. In fact, she would go to his door. And even Alma's like, that's kind of weird that she wouldn't do that. And Hikaru was like, no, that's kind of normal. It's like, yeah, the fact is that it's normal is what makes it odd. And so, what's her face, who is trying to set up Aki and Hikaru because she believes there's like, she's trying to set up a study session and she wants to invite June, who was reluctant, but then because he's like, I didn't come to this school to study, but he was like, wait, I could use this as an opportunity to go over to Hikaru's and find out how he gets his power. I'm all about it. And it's just like, you know, she invites Aki over. Aki's like, I've already been over to his place. And she's like, oh my God, this comedy romance has already advanced so much. And she's playing it out in her head. And she's just like, she's so in love with love. But like I said, it does seem like the way Hikaru was envisioning it, they were like kind of blushing it together. And then like on the other side of the room would be Aki and June bumping heads. So it's like I said, it does seem like they're implying like he does have a crush on her. And he's trying his best to be like, yo, there's nothing going on between me and Aki, but he can't really, you know, he has a very passive personality. But he could tell something was up with Aki, and now we know why. It's because it's not even just Alma. They need to kill Hikaru because they need his arbitrium. And now she's stuck in this position of, like, am I willing to do whatever it takes to save my sister? My mom and dad are dead. I thought my sister was gone. She's alive. This might be my only chance to do it. So am I willing to sacrifice someone's life, especially someone that has become a friend? I mean, he was there for her. He got Sinis and Dax back for her when June ended up taking them in episode 3. And, like, he's kind of become a friend. And I think, like, the only real friend she's ever really had until more recently. So we also got what's his name, Onir, involved. I thought that was kind of interesting. He's kind of been rehabilitated. In fact, his was it Kagamaru or something like that? I can't remember. His arm, his Mecha-Ude is now free. It's no longer shackled. And so he's like, yo, me and my owner, like, because they're the only ones that kind of sync up, so they couldn't put Onir's Mecha-Ude on anyone else because he's the only one available. So now it's kind of, he's going through a rehabilitation process. In fact, his Mecha-Ude, it's like, yo, get it together. You need to apologize. It's like, if you need to, you can kick us, punch us, whatever. He really wants to make up for the mistakes of his Mecha-Ude user. So he's like, he's kind of got a very like old school. He keeps saying like Bushido. So he has a very like old school code that he feels like his Mecha-Ude user kind of broke. So he wants to make it up to Alma and then calling him Alma Dono. And it's like, right, I can help you with like my sonar. It can help me track down Aki. Which June shows up, but June only agrees because Alma, not even tricking him, Alma was being honest, like, hey, you help us find Aki, we could go do this whole study session. And that's kind of what June wanted in the first place. It's like, ooh, this would be a golden opportunity to spy on him, to find out where he gets his power from, and him not even realizing it. Oh, he's going to let me into his secrets, not even realizing it. It's like, there's nothing to hide, but sure, whatever, do you, June, because obviously Hikaru is not thinking about that right now. There's some details I kind of skipped over. Obviously, like, Onir and his Mecha-Ude, that was brought about because, I'm already blanking on, they call him Dot Glasses. I'm blanking on his name. I said it earlier in the recording. Was it, Quinn? I can't remember. Kuan? I can't remember now. I feel so stupid. We'll call him Doc Glasses because I'm blanking on his name right now at this moment. He's the one that set that up, but I love there was like that Mecha-Ude users that's part of Tani's crew. The 3 Mecha-Ude users that was with them, like, what was that? I think that might have been last episode. Yeah, I think that was last episode. Yeah, definitely last episode. And she's looking at like the reports on like Tani and his circumstances. And we still don't know, like, could you put another Mecha-Ude user there to fix the fact is that he's losing a Arbitrium, or like could you bring his Mecha-Ude back, because it's like, it seems like it's dead, and once again there's no like easy means of repairing them, so it's kind of like they die, so I don't know what that means for Tani. But she went to Doc Glasses and was able to get when her Mecha-Ude got on top of his head, I thought she was going to like siphon the information out of his head and like read his mind or something. No, she just like tugged on his hair to get the information out of him about Aki. And I guess that's how, I can't remember if, like, the whole situation with the leader of arms, I can't remember, I don't know if he, like, if that's how she was able to get that, like, how he knows about everything is because she told him, or what, after getting the information from Doc Glasses. But either way, our group eventually tracks down Aki, and Aki's still debating it, but it does seem like she's intent on doing this, protecting her sister. That was always kind of her job. They even showed, I think, like last episode or episode before last, there was that flashback where she talked about, like, right, you'll always protect me, right, sis? And now it's like, yeah, she's got to do her duty to protect her sister. But then we get the stinger at the end, which I wasn't expecting. I thought the stinger of this would be Aki attacking them. I thought that's how they ended. I wasn't expecting them to straight up reveal, but I was like, I knew it was a ploy. And it's just like, yeah, my sister will save me. She'll do it. And then you get the heartbreaking thing where we see at the end, Fubuki is crying. I was like, oh wow, you're just evil. But it's like, no, there's more to this. Like, I don't know if she's the one controlling you or whether you're being controlled in some other fashion. Like, it does seem like, so how much of that story we got told this episode, how much of that is real, how much is BS? Like the worm type, like maybe she got corrupted, kind of on some Ishmelga type of stuff. If you're familiar with Trails of Cold Steel, that means something to you. If it doesn't, if you're not, that means nothing to you. But I'm wondering if her code or whoever, like everything about her might have gotten corrupted, and she's all about doing evil stuff, and she's corrupting Fubuki and going like. As we can see, like, she can make people go berserk, but maybe whatever it is that she does, it like the Mecha-Ude does, it can't affect Fubuki the same way because they're bound together. It's like because you de-rise with her, it's like I can't like do the same thing to her because I need her. She's a puppet. Like that, you know, it's the whole conversation about like Onir with he's like, oh, my Mecha-Ude used to be my tool. No, I feel like I'm the tool. It seems like it might be that type of situation with Fubuki. Like I said, because of the tear, I think she's being puppeted, and like I don't think it's like a she's already dead situation, but I think it's like this is the only thing keeping her going, and I think that's what that tear is going to be revealed of, like she's a victim in all of this too. So maybe next episode we also get the truth behind that. Maybe not. But what I think is also interesting too is we're with June's older brother, who doesn't want to get involved in this. Once again, every time we see him, we just see him typing away on the computer. It's like, that's the only time you see that character. I'm like, what are you so preoccupied with? And Home Dude is like, who's kind of almost like June's caretaker to some extent. He's the one that came to retrieve him after him and Hikaru fall. But he's like, oh, like, do you want me to go retrieve your brother or send, like, the White Snakes after him or whatever? And he's like, no, whatever my brother's doing, it won't benefit Kagami. So, like, whatever it is so small. So whatever happens to him happens. And Home Dude's like, I see. And then he opens his eyes where it's like, I guess it's like, maybe that irks his nerves. It's like, cool, this is your little brother. You're not looking after like you're supposed to. We don't know what his whole circumstance is. Like, why he's just so, what his end result for Kagami is, like why he's so preoccupied. He seems like the heartless genius type of thing of like he's focused on his goal and he's got tunnel vision and nothing else matters, not even his own family, not his own brother. So, but like the fact is Home Dude got irked by that and was kind of like, I see, just kind of was bothered by it. So I get the feeling like if stuff really goes down, Because he was also saying, like, I guess the worm type isn't big enough deal, even though it is affecting your people too. But I guess it's like, that's within the small range of how much of an issue is it. If it reaches beyond a certain percentage point, then it's like, okay, then it's become a big enough issue. But now it's small enough and the worm type isn't a big deal enough. Like I brought up too, like, is that Fubuki and the worm type on its own causing issues? Or is she part of some larger organization? So many questions. It's definitely going to be interesting to see where the next episode takes us, as Aki is going to proceed to go after everyone there, and they're going to have to fight her. Obviously, they're going to be reluctant to. Especially Jun's going to be trying to protect Hikaru, because he's going to be like, the only person that's going to defeat Hikaru is going to be me. And now Aki is pretty skilled, and she is more determined than ever to see this through. So we'll see how that plays out and what happens when the truth is revealed that nothing is what she thinks it is, that she's being manipulated. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.